Student, there are some conditions for equilibrium. For closed container, first condition for equilibrium is that the container should be closed. Equilibrium cannot be achieved if container is open. Why? For example, if I have hydrogen gas and chlorine gas, hydrogen gas, and I am going to combine with chlorine gas in an open container. So HCl will be formed. This is gas, and this is gas. If the container is open, so while adding these reactant, there is a possibility that some of the reactant evaporate. So there will be less amount of product, or there will be no amount of product in an open container. So first condition is that container should be closed to achieve equilibrium, chemical equilibrium. Then concentration of reactant product. How much I am going to add reactant and how much product is formed. In this chemical reaction, you can see 1 mole of hydrogen combined with 1 mole of chlorine to produce 2 mole of hydrogen chloride. So these are the molar concentration, and it is represented by bracket, square bracket. In square bracket means concentration, and in last lecture I told you concentration is equal to number of moles over volume, that is mole per decimeter cube. So this is the second condition, that specific amount or specific amount of concentration of reactant is needed for a chemical reaction. Then another condition for chemical equilibrium, that is temperature. Every chemical reaction takes place in a specific temperature, and if I increase or decrease that temperature, the equilibrium will be disturbed. If I increase the temperature of the system, what will happen? The kinetic energy of molecule increases, number of collision is more, and so chemical reaction will be speed up, and equilibrium will be obviously disturbed. Similarly, if a chemical reaction taking place in a specific temperature and I decrease that temperature, so kinetic energy of molecule will be slow down, and the rate of chemical reaction will be also slow down. So it means for a chemical equilibrium, a specific temperature for the system is needed. Similarly, the pressure. When we apply a pressure, when we increase the pressure, the molecule come close, and there is a number of chances and number of collision increases. So as a result, equilibrium will be disturbed. Similarly, if I release or reduce the pressure, what will happen? Again there is a space, and there will be a slow chemical reaction. Volume. So specific volume is required for a chemical reaction to be attain equilibrium. And the last is catalyst. If we use a catalyst is a substance which is used up to speed up of chemical reaction. And if I use a catalyst, it will used up to speed up a chemical reaction, but will not be part of a product. And if once it is used, so equilibrium is established. If I add or remove that catalyst, definitely equilibrium will be disturbed. So again, there are some conditions to attain equilibrium. Number 1, container must be closed. The amount of reactant and product concentration must be known, or specific amount of concentration is needed. A specific temperature is needed for a chemical equilibrium. A specific pressure is needed for chemical equilibrium. Similarly, a given amount of chemical reaction is required. As I told you, C is equal to N over V, and catalyst if used is also need for a chemical equilibrium. Okay, there are some components in the atmosphere or air we use to produce some important chemical. We know that air is composed of nitrogen gas, oxygen gas, carbon dioxide, and other inert gases. There are about 9 gases. Nitrogen is 78%, oxygen is 21%, carbon dioxide and inert gases are about 1 to 2%. So if I have nitrogen, oxygen and carbon dioxide, so I can separate it out from the air by a process called as fractional distillation. I can separate nitrogen gas, I can separate carbon dioxide gas from the air, I can separate oxygen gas in the air. So if I will get all these gases, nitrogen, carbon dioxide and other gases, and then I can combine these gases, so I can get three important chemicals which can be obtained from the air. So these three very important chemicals which is used in a chemical laboratory is nitric acid, ammonia and sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid is called as king of chemicals. Any industry which do not use sulfuric acid, it has no economical value. So very briefly I will try to explain how nitric acid, ammonia and sulfuric acid can be formed by collecting these gases from the air. So first process is known as Brundtland-Huygens process. Brundtland-Huygens process is the process for the formation of nitric acid. Here hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen are used. So first of all I will separate nitrogen and oxygen from atmosphere. So I will collect nitrogen gas and oxygen gas and I will combine in a specific condition as I told you in the previous lecture. So nitrogen and oxygen in a gaseous state, they will combine to form nitric oxide, and when nitric oxide is formed I will add further oxygen. As a result nitrogen dioxide is formed. Keep in mind, when non-metal oxide react with water we will get acid. So nitric oxide, the nitrogen dioxide is a non-metal oxide and I am going to react with water, so I will get nitric acid and nitric oxide. So this is one of the method for the preparation of nitric acid called as Brundtland-Huygens process. You can note it down. At the end I have again nitric oxide. So this nitric oxide can be used. So when I am preparing again nitric acid, I will need only these two steps, because in the last step I got nitric oxide. So this is one of the method of preparation of nitric acid called as Brundtland-Huygens process. Another method for the formation of ammonia. Ammonia is composed of nitrogen and hydrogen in the ratio of 1:3. So very simple, I can get nitrogen from air and I can get hydrogen. By combining these hydrogen and nitrogen gas, I can get a product called as ammonia, and this process is known as Haber process. Again it has some specific condition, that is temperature, pressure and catalyst as well. Similarly, another very important chemical called as king of chemical is known as sulfuric acid. It can be also prepared from air because we have enough amount of oxygen in air. So if I have solid sulfur and I am going to combine that oxygen with solid sulfur, in the first step I will get sulfur dioxide which is in a gas form. That sulfur dioxide I will add some more amount of oxygen and I will get sulfur trioxide. So there are two steps by getting sulfuric acid. First step, as I told you, when non-metal oxide react with water I will get acid. Non-metal oxide react, keep in mind, non-metal oxide react with water, I will always get acid. For example, nitrogen dioxide react with water, I will get nitric acid, HNO3. Similarly, sulfur dioxide react with water to get sulfuric acid, or this sulfuric acid is dilute. So to get concentrated sulfuric acid I will add sulfur dioxide, I will add sulfuric acid which is already prepared, it is dilute and it is in a liquid state. So I will get pyrosulfuric acid, or it is also known as oleum, or pyrosulfuric acid. When I get pyrosulfuric acid or oleum, I will add some amount of water to get concentrated sulfuric acid. So these are the some important chemical which is used in some industries or many industries, and these are nitric acid, ammonia and sulfuric acid, and they have specific name. Bricklin-Eyde process is the process for the formation of ammonia, nitric acid, while Haber process is the process of formation of ammonia, while sulfuric acid is the process of formation of sulfuric acid. Thank you.